the ULI mayoral series, Ottawa, Capital City Rebound. Ottawa is built on unceded Algonquin Anishinaabe territory. The people of Algonquin Anishinaabe Nation have lived on this territory for millennia. Their culture and presence have nurtured and continue to nurture this land. We honor the people and land of the Algonquin Anishinaabe Nation. We honor all First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people and their valuable past and present contributions to this land. So before we begin, I'd like to go through a few housekeeping items. Everyone will be automatically muted throughout the session to ensure there are no audio interferences. Closed captioning is available for this session. There may be a slight delay and it won't be 100% accurate. If you have questions for the speakers, please be sure to use the Q&A function or upvote questions by pressing the thumbs up button. And this session is being recorded, so afterwards we'll give you a recording of the session. I'd also like to extend my sincere appreciation to our sponsors, both the sponsors of ULI Toronto and ULI Ottawa. Today's event and all other ULI programming would not be possible without the support of these sponsors. On behalf of ULI, I would like to thank them for their continued support, as we rely on their support to provide quality programming like this and to help drive our mission, which is the creation of sustaining, thriving communities. So to all of them, we say thank you. So I'm very pleased to have our great capital city included in the ULI mayoral tour of urban transformation in Ontario. Thank you to ULI Toronto for their partnership in this event. The ULI movement in Ottawa is a growing one. That is because the nation's capital is undergoing a transformational shift. Now over 1 million people, we are a technologically forward population. Ottawa is springing with exciting new places and ways of getting to them. Opportunities are abound. This program will consist of 3 parts over the next hour. First, remarks from Mayor Watson, who presides over these exciting times. Then a panel discussion from some other leaders who are shaping this city. And then finally, a Q&A with you, our audience. So now it's my sincere pleasure to introduce a friendly voice, the Mayor of Ottawa, Jim Watson. Jim was elected mayor of the amalgamated city of Ottawa in 2010 and re-elected for a 3rd consecutive term in October of 2018. In March of 2021, I just learned this, he surpassed Stanley Lewis as the longest serving mayor in this city's history. Congratulations on that, Mayor Watson. Mayor Watson has dedicated most of his career to public service in this city. He was first elected as a city councillor in 1991 and again in 1994. And he became the youngest mayor in the history of the old city of Ottawa from 97 to 2000. Then in 2000, he was appointed president and CEO of the Canadian Tourism Commission, a position he held until 2003. From 2003 to 10, he served as an MPP and minister of the provincial government before he returned to municipal politics. Mayor Watson now sits on several boards, including the National Capital Commission, the National Arts Centre, and Invest Ottawa, and has been recognized for his support of the tourism industry, being named Ottawa Tourism Leader of the Year in 2012. And in 2016, he was presented with the Water Leader Award by the Ottawa Riverkeeper for his persistent leadership to prioritize the city's efforts to clean up the Ottawa River. This man is a real believer in Ottawa, and so am I, so it's my pleasure, Mayor Watson, to turn the screen over to you.
Great. Well, thank you very much, Jameson. Good afternoon, everyone. Bon après-midi tout le monde. It really is a pleasure to be with you here today for this important discussion. And I wanted to begin by thanking the Urban Land Institute for organizing today's event, really giving us, excuse me, an opportunity to showcase some of the great projects and economic development activity taking place in the nation's capital. I also want to thank our distinguished panel speakers, Sonia Shuri from Invest Ottawa, Su-Ling Ching from the Board of Trade, James Beach from Broccolini, and John Willing from Ottawa Citizen and Ottawa Sun for moderating today's session. I know that these local leaders will provide some great insight into Ottawa's economic development and our ecosystem and how it works together to support a thriving economy, a high quality of life, and a great city for decades to come. Now, if there's one thing, excuse me, that the pandemic has taught us, it's working together on the city's recovery effort is very much a team effort. And the key to the success of the economic rebound is working with both the private and the public sector. As Mayor of Ottawa, I'm very proud of our city, and I just wanted to give you a little bit of a snapshot and a PowerPoint presentation on a little bit of where Ottawa has been and where it's going. We're a growing city, surpassed the 1 million population mark in 2019. We also share a provincial border with Gatineau, Quebec, which brings the total population of the National Capital Region to over 1.3 million people. We have a culturally diverse, bilingual, and highly educated population, with more than 60% of our labor force holding a post-secondary degree. And we have more scientists and engineering degrees per capita than any city in Canada. We're a globally recognized innovation tech hub with more than 76,000 tech workers, giving us the highest concentration of tech talent in North America after San Francisco. And according to CBRE's 2020 Tech Talent Report, which has earned us the nickname of Silicon Valley North. And there you see part of that tech park in Canada in the west end of the city. Our tech sector really is diverse, with companies excelling in areas of health, technology, software, communications, technology, defense and security, cybersecurity, autonomous vehicles, and many more. I was just on a phone call just a few moments ago with Sir Terry Matthews, one of our great tech pioneers who continues to invest enormously into the tech sector in the West End. And we're home to hundreds of tech companies, including big names like Shopify, Kinaxis, Sienna, General Dynamics, to name just a few. Of course, Mitel is one of the big ones that Terry was involved with. And this makes us the host and the home to Canada's largest tech park. In addition, we have 4 top quality post-secondary institutions that are educating 100,000 students in our city: the University of Ottawa, Carleton University, La Cité Collégiale, as well as Algonquin College. And I truly believe that Ottawa is one of the best cities to which to live, learn, work, invest, and play, and people are noticing. I've had the benefit of living in 2 large cities, Montreal and Toronto, a small town, Lachute, Quebec, and a mid-sized Ontario city, Sarnia. So I can experience the fact that Ottawa has really the best of both worlds. Well, we've seen the cost of housing rise, like many other regions across Canada. Ottawa still is very much an affordable city compared to other areas like Vancouver and Toronto. As you probably know, the federal government accounts for approximately 1/3 of economic activity and jobs in the Ottawa-Gatineau region. Government is first, high-tech is second, hospitality and tourism is third. But our status as the nation's capital also draws visitors to see national landmarks like the Parliament buildings, the UNESCO World Heritage Site, Rideau Canal, and our wonderful cultural and national museums. There's also always something to do in Ottawa. We have 180 festivals, events, or fairs, and visiting the famous Byward Market, of course, or traveling to one of our beautiful rural areas. In fact, one of the things I talk to visitors and ambassadors in particular, people who want to invest in Ottawa, and my friend John Willing knows this statistic very well. 82% of Ottawa's landmass is actually rural, which makes it quite unique among major Canadian cities. So think about that for a minute. 82% is rural. It's the green belt, it's green space. We have 1,100 working farms in the city of Ottawa. And this map, which I pull out quite frequently, is a map of that's been superimposed over the city of Ottawa's map. You can see Calgary, Edmonton, Toronto, Montreal, and Vancouver. All of those 5 cities can fit within the boundaries of the city of Ottawa, and we are still larger than those 5 cities combined by 100 square kilometers. So I believe we're fortunate to have a wonderful blend of urban and rural communities that comes with many opportunities for our residents and visitors. Now, I've already mentioned Ottawa's strong tech and public sectors, and both of them have obviously softened the economic blow to Ottawa's economy over the last 14 months. As a result, Ottawa tends to have a more resilient economy to weather economic downturns, and that has remained true throughout the pandemic. Over the last year, Ottawa's unemployment rate, for example, has remained the lowest among Canada's large cities, and is the only one one of 2 with a rate of under 10%, along with the city of Vancouver. The last year's CBRE annual tech scoring reported that Ottawa is poised to drive Canada's post-pandemic growth, and that many local tech companies have already begun to do just that. Now, other sectors like construction also continue to forge ahead. Excuse me. Data from January to April 2021 shows that the city issued 45% more building permits compared to the same period last year, and the value of those building permits stands at $1.2 billion. But this good news on the construction front does not mean our economy hasn't felt the effects of the pandemic. While the city continues to help small businesses through the pandemic with initiatives such as the tax deferral program, waiving patio fees, the creation of a new small business tax subclass, we've also turned our focus to returning Ottawa's economy to pre-pandemic growth. Now, to do this, we're working with our economic development partners to encourage growth through initiatives such as our visitor and event strategy, as well as our talent strategy and consumer confidence campaign. In addition to this work, the city is supporting growth and job opportunities and job creation rather, through significant infrastructure investments. And Ottawa has a number of key projects that are underway, and I just want to spend a moment talking about those. One of those projects is our Citywide light rail transit project. LRT is the city's largest infrastructure project since the construction of the Rideau Canal almost 200 years ago. It is being built in 3 phases. Hard to see on this map, but stage 1, the Confederation line, is complete and fully operational. Had lots of growing pains the first year, as any new infrastructure project does. Stage 2 currently underway, and stage 3 is in the planning phase. Stage 1 is a 13-station, a 12.5 kilometer tunnel, or line that includes a 2.5 kilometer tunnel that actually goes under the Rideau Canal. This new system is 100% accessible and includes 100% electrified vehicles with 0 emissions. Stage 2, which is currently under construction, will add 44 kilometers of rail and 24 new stations to the system. It's a package of 3 extensions that will bring comfort and reliability of rail service further south, with an extension of the north-south Trillium line, and further east and west with the extension of the Confederation line. Now, when complete, stage 2 will bring 77% of the population within 5 kilometers of rail. And with Ottawa's population projected to grow to 1.14 million people by 2031, stage 2 will help Ottawa stay ahead of the gridlock experienced in other cities and ensure that we continue to be one of the best places to live, work, and of course, visit. Stage 3, LRT, is in the planning stages now. We've done the environmental assessments. We want to get those train tracks all the way out to Barrhaven in the south end, Canada, and Stittsville in the west end, 3 of our highest growth areas in the city. Now, another exciting infrastructure project is Ottawa's new public library, which is a joint facility, first of its kind, between Library and Archives Canada, a national institution, and a local library, namely the Ottawa Public Library. In 2016, the Ottawa Public Library and Library and Archives Canada began exploring an innovative partnership to create a new space together. Since then, the current vision for a world-class net zero carbon combined facility at LeBreton Flats, which is to the west of Parliament Hill, with more than 200,000 square feet, began to take place. And a new main library has been needed in downtown for quite some time, and I'm eagerly looking forward to the opening of this state-of-the-art facility in late 2024. And you can see it right on the screen there. Now, most of you probably know the Byward Market. It's one of the best known destinations, just literally steps from Parliament Hill. The iconic district's cultural and heritage assets attract local residents and visitors from across Canada and around the world. The Heritage Building, Public Market building seen in the slide in the middle, and includes a collection of original boutiques, restaurants, and public spaces, and is a must-see during any visit to Ottawa. And it's the home, of course, of the beaver tail, the famous beaver tail that everyone from Hillary Clinton to Barack Obama has tried out on their visits to the Byward Market. Now, because of its economic, tourism, and cultural importance, the city has an ambitious investment plan to ensure the market remains a popular and successful destination. Council unanimously approved the Byward Market Public Realm Plan this past January, and it's a long-term vision and a roadmap for investments of $129 million between 2022 and 2028, which will deliver renewed space with more trees, as well as spaces and infrastructure for live events. And of course, in 2027, the Byward Market will be celebrating a significant milestone, its 200th anniversary. We plan on celebrating this rich heritage. We know that getting tourism activity and visitors back to the area, including the Byward Market, is important for our economic rebound. Now, Large projects in Ottawa are also being developed by the federal government, excuse me, including the revitalization you see here. This is LeBreton Flats that is going to be served or is served now by 2 LRT stations, which leads to the Ottawa River. You can't see the river there, but just on the left of the screen is the Ottawa River. Now, originally it was a residential neighborhood. It was expropriated by the federal government. It has been largely undeveloped since the 1960s. And literally, I don't think you can see it, but the Parliament buildings are within view of this. So it shows you the significance and the prestige of this last large piece of federal property. And the master concept plan for LeBreton Flats was approved by the NCC's Board of Directors, the National Capital Commission's Board of Directors, in April of this year. And the plan is a multi-decade vision to transform this important site into a complete urban community and destination in the capital. A diverse residential community will be supported by retail and employment opportunities, capitalizing on direct access, as I mentioned, to 2 LRT stations. The mixed-use plan forecasts that 7,200 people will live in the redeveloped site by the time it's fully built out, with 25% of the development dedicated to affordable housing. The LeBreton Flats will be anchored by the future library facility, as we talked about in the east, and our hope is that the future sporting and cultural events center will anchor the west of this site to host the Ottawa Senators, but that's obviously outside our hands and back in the news again today. Just to the north of LeBreton Flats, you'll find Zibi, which means river in Algonquin, taking place in the middle, literally in the middle of the Ottawa River, as you can see here. It's a fantastic site. Being built on a few islands that were vacant industrial lands left behind from Ottawa's lumber days, because Ottawa was originally a lumber town. Zibi will be the most sustainable mixed-use community in all of North America, and a very positive relationship with First Nations that's been developed for this project as well. Residents have already started moving in and are enjoying some of the stunning views of Parliament Hill. And the very first interprovincial zip line connecting Ottawa and Gatineau will soon open to the public as a new visitor attraction. Now, I put this picture on. This is Boris Johnson. At the time, he was the mayor of London, and they had a zip line, I guess, for the Olympics a few years ago, and he volunteered to be the first one on the zip line. And right at that point where that picture is taken, it stalled. So for some very uncomfortable moments, the future Prime Minister of Great Britain was hanging with a couple of flags as they got the problem fixed. So I've committed not to be the first to test the zip line between Gatineau and Ottawa, which is scheduled to open later this year. Another large federal project in the nation's capital is the renewal of the Parliamentary Precinct. This is a $1 billion plus project that is basically everyone in Center Block has been moved over to West Block, and that building is shut down, although people can still go and obviously take pictures and so on, because it's a very important tourist attraction for us. So this is a $4.4 billion renovation. It's, I believe, the largest construction project for a building in Canada, and it will be closed for 12 to 15 years and will include refurbishing of the East Block and a new underground welcome center for the tourism sector. And in fact, the West Block is really a fantastic tribute to architecture and urban planning. They took a courtyard and put the House of Commons chamber right in the courtyard and covered it with a glass roof. The province is also laying groundwork for another important city building project that will advance Ottawa's quality of life and economic growth. The new civic campus of the Ottawa Hospital is a $2.8 billion project. You see the white buildings on that slide. It will deliver a state-of-the-art hospital with highly specialized inpatient, outpatient, emergency, and trauma services. It will also be a major center of academic training and clinical research, a network with other sites around Ontario, Canada, and the world. Now, switching gears to the private sector, in 2019, we welcomed Amazon as a major job creator in our city. Amazon currently has one operational fulfillment center in Ottawa's East End with more than 650 full-time jobs. And I believe Amazon was very impressed by the city team, our city staff that helped advance this project, because they decided to open a second facility in the south end of the city, a robotics-enabled fulfillment center that is currently being built in the south end community of Barrhaven. The building is not only the largest building permit ever issued in the city's history, it is also the largest single-tenant industrial building ever built in Canada. And I've driven by the construction site a few times, and it is impressive. When complete, the project will be a 5-level industrial building that will span 2.7 million square feet and will increase Ottawa's industrial inventory by almost 8%. The project is expected to create approximately 1,000 new jobs, which is good news as our city recovers from the pandemic. Congratulations to James Beach, who's on the panel discussion, for Broccolini, who has led the construction of these two facilities. As I mentioned earlier, our economic partners are also advancing significant projects that will help Ottawa's economy and its recovery. Located at the National Capital Commission's Greenbelt Research Farm is Area X.O, our next generation research facility for precision agriculture and connected and autonomous vehicles. Conceived and implemented by our local economic development agency, Invest Ottawa, Area X.O provides an 1,800-acre facility that offers testing, validation, and demonstration of sensors, vehicles, and new technologies in a 4-season climate. It's the first testing facility of its kind in North America with dedicated short-range communications, Wi-Fi, 4G, LTE, 5G, and networking infrastructure, as well as data gathering, analytics, and cloud capabilities. And it's basically an old abandoned research facility. It has 16 kilometers of paved roads, so it's perfect for testing autonomous vehicles. And it's the same site as the Ottawa Smart Farm, which was launched by the city and Invest Ottawa in May of last year. This is another exciting initiative that will be will drive innovation in the agricultural sector by bringing together important partners from industry, government, and academia. And I'm also pleased to say that the first year, the crop yields achieved at the Smart Farm were approximately 17% higher than on neighboring farms, and their production costs were well below average, which helps put more money in the pockets of local farmers. Also on that site, just as in passing, Tribro Productions is planning on building a soundstage for our booming movie industry here in Ottawa. We also realize there is more to our post-pandemic rebound than the major projects that I've outlined for you today. We'll be working with our partners at Ottawa Tourism, Ottawa Festival Network, and the Ottawa Music Industry Coalition on a visitor and event strategy that will reanimate spaces like Lansdowne Park. You can see Lansdowne Park, which is home to the CFL Ottawa Rough Riders. It's surrounded by the Rideau Canal, and it also hosts 3 other sporting franchises, as well as retail and lots of green space. And we have a strategy really of attracting businesses. It's bid more, win more, host more. We've been very successful in hosting a number of major international and national events, including the NHL Outdoor Classic that celebrated the 100th anniversary of the first NHL game that took place in Ottawa between the Canadiens and the Senators, and that was repurposed back in 2017. We've hosted the Junos, of course, the Grey Cup, and Women's World Hockey and Soccer World Cup events for under 18 and for women. So the strategy will focus on ensuring the festival event sector as well as the live music sector are well equipped to safely stage events in a post-pandemic environment. And I know many of us are looking forward to going to live concerts once again. So these are, of course, there are many other initiatives that we're working on. The Post-Promise campaign and rapid antigen testing that Su Ling and the Board of Trade are rolling out to restore consumer confidence. Our work with the Ottawa Airport to ensure they are ready to resume high volume and international air service. Our work with Ottawa Tourism, the Shaw Centre, our convention center downtown on maintaining a pipeline of large-scale cultural and sporting events, as well as conventions and meetings in the coming years, which will help our hotels and our restaurant and hospitality industry. And the place branding exercise that Ottawa Tourism is leading, which recently led us to the definition of Ottawa's brand as Canada in one city. And I truly believe that tagline. So in conclusion, we believe that this brand will help us promote Ottawa throughout Canada and the world, and it's a vital component of our successful rebound. So I've gone over a lot of information relatively quickly with you today, and I hope you found it interesting. You've learned a little bit more about our city and our future, and I hope you will come visit Ottawa for a holiday when we're encouraged to travel again. We'll hear some more news from Premier Ford at 3 o'clock today, so hopefully more of the economy starts to open up. And if you have any questions in the meantime, feel free to ask them today or reach out to our staff through the ULI team, and we'd be happy to help. And I know as the Mayor of Ottawa, I can honestly say that we are fortunate to live in one of the best cities, not only in Canada, but around the world. And I invite you to come to discover Ottawa and the great things we have to offer. Encore merci beaucoup pour votre attention. and we'll hand it back to Jameson. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Watson, for that terrific tale of this great city. And I hope it is a teaser, as you say, for some of the outsiders who are attending today to come visit us when the state of affairs permit. As Mayor Watson says, if you do have any questions, if his address has elicited any questions, a reminder, you can type them in the Q&A box and we will get to some of them by the end of this discussion. So now let me briefly introduce our moderator and the panelists, and then we'll get into that discussion. Our moderator today is John Willing. John is the City Hall beat reporter for the Ottawa Citizen and the Ottawa Sun, and I listen to him every Thursday morning, and I did this morning, so he is a friendly voice. He has been covering municipal government since 2019 and previously reported on police and crime. Our panel consists of Sonia Shorey, the Vice President, Strategy, Marketing and Communications at Invest Ottawa, Su-Ling Ching, President and CEO of the Ottawa Board of Trade, and James Beach, Director of Real Estate Development at Broccolini. So I'll now invite each of the panelists to introduce themselves briefly, and then I'll turn it over to you, John. Take it away, guys.
Hello, I'm Sonia Shorey, Vice President, Strategy, Marketing and Communications with Invest Ottawa, lead economic development agency for knowledge-based industries here in the capital. Bayview Yards, Ottawa's one-stop business acceleration shop, and AreaX.O, the futureplex of innovation and collaboration. It's a pleasure to be here.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Su-Ling Ching. I'm the President and CEO of the Ottawa Board of Trade. We are the voice of business for Ottawa, and our mission is to create community prosperity through advocacy, economic development, and leadership.
And I'll wrap. My name is James Beach. I'm the Director of Real Estate for Broccolini. Broccolini is a 72-year-old real estate developer and general contractor with offices in Ottawa, Montreal, and Toronto. We specialize in construction and real estate development of residential, office, and industrial projects. And I'm also an Ottawa native, so I echo all the comments Mayor Watson articulated regarding this being the best city to live in.
Thank you to the panelists, and thank you ULI for the invitation to be a part of this event today. We have a jam-packed, by the looks of it, just under 20 minutes to ask some questions of our panelists. Let's get right into it. And I believe Mayor Watson is joining us as well on the panel. First of all, you know, the title of this, I guess, event is called Capital City Rebound. And I want to hear from our panelists. We'll start with you, Sonia. What do you think are the necessary ingredients of an economic rebound in Ottawa post-pandemic?
I think perhaps the most important strategy that we're employing together with our mayor and all the collaborators here is leveraging and employing our greatest strengths and differentiators as a global tech hub to drive our economic recovery regionally, provincially, and nationally. Really, I boil it down to three things: tech, talent, and a highly collaborative, rich, thriving ecosystem. When you look at the convergence of all the different technologies, scientific disciplines, types of talent, sectors, it creates powerful possibilities, opportunities, and impacts. And that's not just central to Ottawa, although certainly it drives our economic recovery. There's potential for collaboration and impact right across Ontario with so many of those that are on the call today and across Canada. So we're growing innovators and entrepreneurs and firms inside. We're attracting new talent and companies and investment from outside to create something very special that's advantageous, I think, for the country. And it's an opportunity to leverage, I think, the best that Ottawa has to offer. And it's not about just creating economic value. It's really got to be more than that. It's social value and it's sustainable environmental value. So how we put all of that together in a way that delivers something that is sustainable, positive, and impactful for every type of member of our community. Inclusive economic development is something that I know is at the heart of what everyone on this call is very, very passionate about. How we're bringing that to bear in support of what the mayor was describing, AreaX.O, the futureplex of innovation and collaboration, looking at smart mobility, autonomy, and connectivity. These global markets are worth hundreds of billions of dollars. We here in Ottawa can bring the best that we have to offer the world together with others across Canada to capitalize on those markets, generate international revenue, bring them home to our local economy, and that allows everyone to benefit when we have a stronger economy. Our talent, we are ahead of Silicon Valley. That is something that cannot be more powerful. We have 11.3% of our total workforce that is tech focused. Silicon Valley is 10.5. That's a huge advantage. When you couple that with our post-secondary institutions, 120,000 students every year, 27,000 in STEM, you put that together with companies that are being attracted in, the talent that's growing up, we can offer a very, very competitive advantage, not just to our own citizens and our own economy, but to the whole country. So that's what I think we need to do and are doing for the economic rebound.
Su-Ling, what do you think? What are the prerequisites for Ottawa to come back and rebound after the pandemic?
I think everything Sonia said, for sure. So just to build on that, focusing on leveraging the strengths that we already have, including the collaboration and the leadership that we have in this city, for sure. But the main thing for us is that, of course, our main role is advocating at all levels of government. And so we are really encouraging the government to look at policy, reimagine what that policy and those programs could be to create a competitive business environment so that our rebound can be led by the private sector, which is really the only group of people that can lead it. And so what can we do as an economic ecosystem in order to share that? And also what Sonia said is that we need to really tell the story of what Ottawa has to offer. And I know we've been engaged in an intensive and highly successful place branding exercise with the city and Ottawa tourism over these last few years. And so we're excited to see that be rolled out so that we can really share what Ottawa has to offer with the world. And lastly, I would say that our private businesses and our Ottawa ecosystem, we have to start thinking more globally, but acting locally. So understanding that we have tremendous opportunities internationally, but that we also have tremendous resources locally to build our culture, to meet some of those social goals that Sonia's talking about, and really support our small, medium enterprises.
James, what do you think? What kind of dominoes have to be put in a row for Ottawa to achieve success coming out of COVID-19?
Well, maybe it's because it's around lunchtime and I'm hungry, but you said ingredients. And well, yes, we're having a sandwich right after this call. We have the key ingredients. We have a city that is very, very pro-business, that is very open to development. As a developer, I'm speaking in that realm. We have land, which is very rare in a lot of provinces and even cities in Ontario. We have a great land bank. The city is very open-minded, very forward-thinking in terms of what's next, what's 5, 10, 20 years down the road. The new official plan right now is addressing that future vision of growth, of e-commerce growth. And so when you have those ingredients together, I mean, we're well-positioned for a rebound once this pandemic is behind us in the rearview mirror.
Yeah, I think I want to shift to Mayor Watson at this point. And I'm wondering, Mayor, what do you think some of the greatest challenges will be for Ottawa recovering from the economic damage that the pandemic has caused the city? I don't know if the mayor is there.
Here we go. Yep.
Oh, hi, Mayor.
Can you hear me okay?
Good.
Great. Listen, we're blessed in many respects that we do have stability in our economy, with the largest employer being the federal government. And obviously, the number of federal public servants has increased during the pandemic because of the need for everything from public health nurses to others to get us through this biggest economic challenge in our lifetime. So I think what the public are looking for, and what business tells me they look for, is stability. Stability with the federal government, the municipal government, the provincial government, and cooperation between 3 levels of government, which, notwithstanding the fact that the current provincial and federal government are from a different political party, by and large, there have been some exceptions to that. By and large, the 2 levels of government have worked well, and cities across Canada, including Ottawa, has benefited from that level of cooperation, because we need it. We had the perfect storm, like every other city around the world. We had significantly reduced revenues coming in, everything from bus and train tickets to rental space for facilities and arenas and so on. And then we had, of course, increased costs, paramedic costs, costs to run our public health unit and so on. And that would have put us in a deficit. And if we had not had the good cooperative support, working with the big city mayor's caucus that I do work with, we would have been in a real challenging situation with significant layoffs and massive reductions in services just at a time when you need those services. So the other thing is we can't just rely on government, obviously. We have very much a philosophy in Ottawa of rolling out the red carpet and not the red tape. And I think James can attest to the fact that we have very active members of council who roll up their sleeves and work very hard to attract businesses like Amazon, and also through innovation, the Innovation Center that Sonia helps to run at Invest Ottawa, the incubation space, which allows the next Shopify to come on our radar. And Shopify, at one point it was valued more than the Royal Bank of Canada. It's a business. I look across the street and I see their sign. They're a homegrown business right here in Ottawa. And Toby Lutke, their president and founder, was on our original board of directors. He didn't want to serve on any other board except Invest Ottawa, and we're proud to have him for a number of years and his wisdom and his insight. So I think when we get out of the pandemic and we're starting to see our numbers go in the right direction, our economy was on fire before the pandemic, the lowest unemployment rate in about 30 years. I think we'll come out very, very strongly as a result of the building blocks that we've established with the business community and the public sector. Thank you.
Sonia, I'm wondering about the competition with other cities, not just cities in Ontario, Canada, around the world, in attracting business and attracting investments. So how do you make sure Ottawa is at the top of investors and companies' lists when they're trying to find new places to bring jobs and establish offices or even headquarters?
We're very fortunate that we have an economic development agency that brings together both our venture development and entrepreneurship team, together with our global expansion team, which goes out into the world, the Americas, the European market, and Asia Pacific in a typical environment, of course, all virtual and very safe at the moment, and looks for those companies that will complement and help to grow and create the right types of jobs, help us to address gaps, increase our competitiveness, and allow us to give more ultimately to the world. Also attracting in that talent. Talent is something that we are very focused on. We've actually established a talent team that looks at how we can equip and help our startups, our scale-ups, and those that we're looking to soft land tap into the amazing talent base that we have here from our post-secondary institutions and the deep, deep disruptive technological expertise we have. When that team puts all of our value proposition to work, and why Ottawa is really a website I would encourage everyone to take a peek at, all of the incredible statistics, differentiators, and opportunities that exist that our mayor just described, we bring those to bear through our Why Ottawa campaign, and those are the messages and the opportunities that our global expansion team takes out into the world. It's very collaborative. So we don't look at all of our fellow Canadian cities as true collaborators. We look at it as an opportunity to get a win for Canada and bringing our strengths to bear here in Ottawa to make sure that we're going after those global markets, seizing that global business, and making sure that the world knows that Ottawa is the greatest city in the world to live, learn, work, and play.
Su-Ling, what do business owners in Ottawa, what's their main concern coming out of the pandemic? And are those concerns unique to Ottawa, or are they pretty much the same no matter what Canadian city in which you'd ask the same question?
Sorry about that. Well, I think a lot of the concerns are the same as many businesses are facing, around the world and within Canada. We are facing a classic, what they call K-shaped economy, where there's a portion of our economy has done really well through this pandemic. But there's a portion of our economy that has really been at the front lines of this fight, and through no thought of their own, have been closed depending on their size of business or their sector. So really building back some business confidence. And as the mayor said, what businesses are looking for is just some stability, some certainty. And that's why we continue to advocate to the government that you have to put the support programs in the place for the hardest hit sectors and invest in a way that people can see themselves in the future as well, that will provide the best economic return for us in the future. So I think businesses are looking for some for that continued support if they're a hard hit sector, but in general terms, some stability and support from the communities as well.
James, tell us, give us some intel about what you and your colleagues in the development industry are talking about, some of the challenges ahead when it comes to pulling out of the pandemic.
Yeah, it's a really really great question. And Suling, you touched on that. Different business units have seen either incredible growth in their business in the last 2 years, or the flip side, unfortunately. And on the construction sector, development sector, the industry has been on the up. They've been on the right side of that line. The growth, it's been explosive in every sector, maybe other than office, but from a residential perspective and industrial perspective, it's been absolutely on fire. That's really seen not just in Ottawa, but across the province, across the country, and all the cities that we're working in. I have friends who are on the residential side in Ottawa, and they've sold out their 2021 allotment of homes within the first 2 months. So just incredible velocity in those markets, and the spinoff on the industrial side, obviously, with that growth, that exponential growth, there comes spinoff prosperity in the form of job creation on the construction sector. Once facilities are delivered, great opportunities for thousands of new jobs. So we've been very, very fortunate through our group, specifically through this pandemic, and we hope to do what we can to contribute to the rebound that's right around the corner.
John, can I just mention one thing, just following up on what James was saying? When our city turned to a city of 1 million people a couple of years ago, our staff estimated that about, I think, 26 to 28 people a day moved to Ottawa, which, on the one hand, it's not a big number, but when it adds up, you realize why we need to build more housing. People want to move to this city. It's a very desirable, attractive city, and we have to compete worldwide now. Anyone in high tech can pick up and move anywhere and basically do their job. And we're seeing that, with stay-at-home work orders and so on. But we have to offer something above and beyond the job. People want to see good schools, safe communities, clean environment. And when you look at what Ottawa has to offer, a city of rivers, the canal, the Ottawa River, the ULI River, the Gatineau River, the Rideau River, you see the festivals that we have, I think 150 different festivals and fairs that add to the quality of life. A lot of green space in our city, both run by the federal government and the municipal government. And, you could be skiing at Camp Fortune, a 15-minute drive from Parliament Hill to the Gatineau Hills and be downhill skiing. You can skate on the longest skating rink in the world, the Rideau Canal. So these kinds of things do matter in terms of people deciding where they're going to live. The lack of traffic congestion. I lived in Toronto for seven years as an MPP, and before that, every morning you'd wake up and nothing, I'm not trying to disparage Toronto, but it was bumper to bumper on the Don Valley Parkway and this road and that road. We do have a quality of life here that really is second to none. You have to be a little hardy to get through our winters, but that's part of the fun of a 4-season community that we have here. And I think we sometimes underestimate those kind of soft issues as opposed to just the bottom line. What's the cost of an acre of land and so on? You want to be able to attract people who feel safe. We're a very safe city, one of the safest cities in Canada, and we are one of the greenest cities in Canada as well. Thank you.
Mayor, you talked about people coming to Ottawa, and of course, right now, one of the going concerns in Ottawa is creating a new official plan. So let's talk about that for a second, since we're talking about urban land here today. How do you balance expanding the suburbs with new housing and intensifying existing communities? How is the city going through that decision making?
Well, it's always, a point of great debate amongst politicians and community activists and builders. You never really reach a consensus because there are often polarized views. And what you try to do is come up with a balance. The reality is, on the one hand, we have people that don't want urban sprawl, but some of the same people that don't want urban sprawl are now fighting intensification. And it's frustrating for a politician because, well, there's a great example. We had this one property that was completely underutilized in the West End. And there was a proposal to put, I think, a 25-story building up on Scott Street, which is literally right across the street from a future LRT station that will be opened up in a few years. And yet we had councillors fighting that project. And I'm thinking, if we can't have transit-oriented development on a site like that, which is literally across the street from a transit station, then we're in real trouble. And we've developed this philosophy, and council's approved it, of transit-oriented development, that where we have transit stations, it's in everyone's best interest, the transit company to get more riders, but also from an environmental and ecological point of view, to have people move into an apartment building, let's say at Blair Station, which is the terminus station in the East End. There's now 2 apartment buildings that have gone up, another 2 or 3 are planned, all within walking distance of the transit station, the transit hub. And so the individuals there may not need a car, or they'll only use their car on weekends because they'll hop on the train, head downtown in 10, 12 minutes, and be able to hop on another train and go to the Byward Market for lunch, or go out to an event at the new library and stop off at the Pimsey station in the central core of the city. So I think we're going through a full revamp of the official plan. We've sent out the first draft. We've got lots of feedback. We'll come back with another draft, and we'll have this great philosophical debate. But at the end of the day, the people who don't want urban sprawl for all the right reasons, environmental and traffic congestion, so on, they have to be able to support some intensification, but it has to be sensible. You're not going to put a 25-story building up in the middle of single-family homes. But you know what? On a arterial road like Scott or Baseline and so on, that's where the growth has to be, next to transit stations in the future.
Suling, I'm wondering, you know, from people outside of Ottawa who haven't been to Ottawa before, just see the newscasts about maybe, you know, debates happening in the House of Commons. You know, we heard one tourism consultant recently accusing Ottawa of being a boring city. Of course, everyone who lives here knows that's not true. But what would you tell the people who don't live in Ottawa, who really haven't visited Ottawa? What would you say about the vibrancy of the city, and how do you repel those maybe false allegations that Ottawa is a boring city?
Well, first of all, nobody ever says that to my face. So, but if they did, I would say, you know, I invite you to come and experience it for yourself, obviously. So you're right. We have, you know, we have a reputation as a government town. I cringe every time, you know, the federal government does something that people don't like, and they just say Ottawa instead of federal government. But I think we're on the right road in terms of calibrating the messaging coming out of Ottawa. We just learned last week from the expert that we brought in to do the city branding for Ottawa, you know, that we all have to be involved in building the brand of Ottawa and its vibrancy. And the things that he had identified that were largely unknown in the world about Ottawa is just how, you know, all the urban assets that we have, and that we're not a sleepy town. You know, we have the Byward Market, we have all kinds of amenities that make this a great place to live. And that we're a bilingual city, and he really talked about the pride of the people and how that was such an attractor for Ottawa. And so I think that as we continue to focus in on our assets and build on our strengths, but tell that story to the world collectively, that message will be known. So to anyone who thinks that Ottawa is a boring city, I invite them to come even for a week, and then they will see differently what the beauty and the nature and the advanced business that we have here, how it makes us such a diverse and exciting city.
Sonia, do you have to dispel any misperceptions of Ottawa?
I do. Oh, I do. I was just going to say I agree with everything Suling has said. And honestly, Canada can be proud because Ottawa punches far above its weight. For a city of 1 million people, our bold, passionate, and resilient entrepreneurial spirit is strong. The mayor's already referenced Shopify. You have companies like Ascent Compliance that are well positioned to become the next unicorn. Go4, which has revolutionized first and last mile delivery, growing at an exceptional rate. Rewind, that's backing up and protecting data for the likes of Shopify. Making acquisitions out of Germany, growing, again, a homegrown Ottawa firm, and Field Effect and Cyber. These are technology markets that represent massive opportunity for Ottawa and for Canada. Moreover, we're attracting in big players like Gigamon in the networking space, like Hexagon Autonomous Stuff, which could have chosen to establish their division for connected and autonomous vehicle innovation anywhere in the world. They chose AreaX.0, where they are building out Indra Robotics, drones, and and UAVs represent immense opportunity. They chose Ottawa. They're headquartered now in Canada for this particular division here at AreaX.O. You don't attract big players. You don't attract talent and investment and have this kind of entrepreneurial spirit if you're a sleepy town. We're nothing but. We're punching above our weight, and we can help everyone on this call, Canada and the world, achieve their goals from an innovation, tech, and an economic development perspective.
James, what do you think the secret sauce is of Ottawa in terms of, forget about even just business for a second, but talk about just livability of the city?
Yes. So I'm going to say this is a terrible place to live. You don't want to live here. Somewhere else, because I love it here. I like having my space. I like having the lack of traffic. Business aside, this is an incredible place to live. Mayor Watson mentioned 15 minutes you can be on a ski hill snowboarding. I actually had a day where I snowboarded in the morning, whitewater kayaked at lunch, mountain biked in the afternoon, and then had a really nice dinner in the Bywood Market all in one day. And I probably drove less than 60 kilometers in aggregate. So I mean, it's hard to beat. I don't know any other city that could boast that type of flexibility and diversity in terms of outdoor activities. Business aside for a second, just the quality of living. And one thing this pandemic has shown is the ability for individuals to work remotely. Even in our own organization, we have an incredible amount of cross-pollination between our different offices now. And it's proven you don't have to live in Montreal to work in Montreal. You don't have to live in Toronto to work in Toronto. And that really opens up a huge opportunity for those looking to have a higher quality of living, better access to the outdoor activities that Ottawa offers, more affordable, at least for the time being, and still continue to work in their existing environments and their existing businesses remotely. So I want to tell everyone to go away because I love it the way it is now, but that would be, it's a great place.
Can I just
Mayor, I'll give you the last word on this, and then I'll just tell people quickly that if you want to ask some questions to the panel, please populate your questions into the application, I guess, into Zoom. But yes, Mayor, are you sick of addressing this quote unquote boring question from people when it comes up?
Well, I want to live James Beach's life. When do you work? I'll just give you two examples, John and panelists, of sometimes we can't see the forest for the trees. We complain about something, traffic, jam or something like that. And I think it's often we're our harshest critics in many ways. But I've come across in the last 2 years, a little bit before pandemic and during pandemic, probably 6 or 7 individuals or couples that I've just happened to meet, at a grocery store or on the street, who have come and moved from Toronto, almost all of them from Toronto, to move to Ottawa because they've heard of the quality of life, but they're also, selling a house for 1.7 million in Toronto and buying a bigger house for 700,000 in Ottawa. Yeah. So, people are downsizing, and they're sort of downsizing both their lives and their cities that they're living in because it's more affordable. And the second group that I find really fascinating to hear from is the diplomatic community. We have 130 embassies and high commissions in Ottawa, and all of the ambassadors and the high commissioners at the beginning of their term, they present their credentials to the Governor General, and then they visit the Prime Minister, and then they come to visit the little old Mayor of Ottawa. And these individuals, men and women, have lived in different countries and served their countries around the world, and they're not just being diplomatic; they're being sincere. They love Ottawa. They love the quality of life. They love the big city amenities, small town charm of the city, the nature, the best of many worlds. So when we talk about the slogan, Ottawa, Canada in one city, bilingual, multicultural, we've got, not quite mountains, but hills to ski on, riverways. And these diplomats are very, very complimentary. And I often will meet members of the diplomatic community years later who decided to stay in Ottawa. They retired, they loved it so much. I can think of, I think, 5 or 6 that have ended up staying in Ottawa because they fell in love with the city.
Thank you. And Richard, maybe I'll invite you back into the discussion here to handle the Q&A, but thank you so much, Sonia, Su-Ling, James, Mayor Watson, for a great discussion. And I'll hand it over to Richard if you're there.
Yes, I am. Thanks, John. Listen, we just got, I think, time for one question, but I just want to acknowledge a few of the other ones, and partly why I'm not going to ask them is I think they've been somewhat addressed. But Mayor Watson, there was definitely a lot of interest around the whole transit-oriented communities, transit-oriented development, and I know you spoke to that, but clearly that's a very big thing in the Toronto region. Lots of effort, especially our organization, on how to make sure that those major public investments are being leveraged in a way that is obviously respectful to the communities around them, but at the same time does represent some transformational opportunity to increase non-auto ridership. The one question I want to jump on, and there were some other questions around green standards, mass timber we won't get to, but the last couple of questions, answers rather, spoke to the last question that came in, which is around the housing prices. Ottawa is, for all the reasons that you've been describing, and I'm a Carleton grad, and I can tell you I had a blast in my years there, and that was some years ago. The city is more exciting now, and I'll jump at every chance I can to do a conference in Ottawa. Ottawa is a great conference city, and other things, of course, as we've been discussing. But it is a city that's being discovered, and how's that concerning you? And being discovered maybe at rates faster than you ever imagined 18 months ago. That question could be to any one of you who wants to jump in on that. I'll give the mayor first crack. We only have about 3 minutes, so have to be a quick answer in any event. My question was longer than probably your answers can be, I'm afraid. Go ahead, Mayor Watson.
Yeah, thanks, Richard, and thank you for helping to coordinate today's session. Yeah, there's no question our housing prices are going up. They're nowhere near, obviously, the Vancouver and Toronto housing prices. And I just happened to run into the president of the Ontario Real Estate Association on the street on my walk home the other day. He's a realtor in Toronto, or in Ottawa, but represents the Ontario Real Estate Association. And the challenge is the supply. There's not enough supply because so many people want to move here. You know, people are downsizing, they're right-sizing, and so on. And we're continuing to invest record amounts of money at the city in affordable housing. So those people who are economically challenged, we want to get those people into affordable housing. So that takes some of the pressure off. If they get into affordable housing, they leave another unit that may not have been as affordable, but could be affordable for someone else. So it's a countrywide phenomenon. People like the stability of Canada and our system of social assistance to those less fortunate. But one of the reasons why we have to expand slightly the urban boundary of the city is to provide more housing stock for those people who want to buy their first home or want to move here and start their career or their lives all over again.
Terrific. I've got 30 seconds for, let's say, Su-Ling or Sonia to add anything to this issue of Ottawa getting too hot too quick. No problem.
I would just say, you know, kudos to the city for planning well. That's the whole key, right? Is planning well, and that's what they've done. They've done a tremendous amount of consultation for the OP, and they've implemented a balanced approach to make sure that we can reach our vision, but that also that we can manage the growth, because this just going from 1 million to 2 million is going to be an interesting time, and so making sure that we're well prepared.
I would echo that. The mayor serves as our co-chair. We echo that and are grateful to have the opportunity to support the growth of Ottawa sustainably and impactfully.
Well, listen, we're at time. I want to thank you all for a fascinating, really, really great insight into Canada's capital city, a city I love so much. And I was just so pleased that we could collaborate with ULI Ottawa. So on behalf of both ULI Toronto and ULI Ottawa, we'd like to thank the Mayor Watson, John, Sonia, Su-Ling, and James, and to all our members and guests for tuning in to today's session. We hope you're keeping well, and we look forward to seeing you on a future webinar. In fact, we hope we will see you in person not too long from now as well. Thank you all, and enjoy the rest of your day.